감사합니다. Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back, guys. Another day, another breakdown. Hope everyone is doing well. We are back. Apologies yesterday, I was at a work event. I came back very late. So could not have done the breakdown even if I wanted to. But we're going to make it up for today. Last day of the week. I'm sadly going on a business trip next week though. So no streams all of next week, and then I'll be back the following week. So yeah, he'll survive. You have Don. You have like Huss, you have SG, you have Kieran, you have Janez, you have Wix. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah, business in Paris. Yeah, business. But cool, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. I am hardly the best. Do I make money for you guys? No. All I do is I just analyze gold. That's all I do. But yeah, we're gonna get started soon. I think we peaked like 16 people already. Before 10 p.m. It's pretty nuts. But yeah, I think once we hit 15, I'll probably just start. Or, you know, we'll see, we'll see. We have some boys in the Zoom as well. Oh, Reese is here today. Sup, Reese? Man, pretty mad pushes from gold today. Is tomorrow NFP Friday? Ah. 2041, yeah, you got out. I was looking for buys above here, and also like if it breaks this, you just have a clean push up, right? What was the push above here? That was like 40 pips. That was pretty nice. But what time was this? I was looking for this, but 4 p.m. Yeah, I had something to do, so it is okay. I mean, where did we tapped in 2065, right? In terms of the daily, we've broken all of these dailies, right? This daily's also going to close. Respecting this though, but above overall range, you have a pretty nice wick to fill. Yeah. What news do we have tomorrow? We have. Sorry, this is today. Half one. We have unemployment rate, and then unemployment change, and then we have double news again. Jesus, this week is packed. But it's okay. Yeah, we will see. We will see. Because I think for today's candle did so much. We'll break it down. But today's candle did a lot of work. Guys, I'm just gonna get started here. I'm in a little bit of a rush. Probably gonna end it slightly earlier than expected because I have to start prepping for that trip I have to go on for next week, in terms of like other workload as well. But let us begin. So, first of all, let's always go to the monthly. Oh no, first of all, thanks for joining. Right, it is a Thursday. Sorry, is it Thursday? Yeah, a Thursday night. We're doing a breakdown for gold. Mainly looking at what kind of happened today. This candle right here. This is 1 day in February. 360 pips. 1 day. Today is February the 1st. How nuts is that? But anyways, right? We have some levels that are being formed. Overall, I would say our range on the monthly is between 1990 and 2074. If at any given point we do get a breakout above 2074, it's going to be difficult to take buys as of now. And why is that, right? For example, if you get a breakout, let's say on like the daily or whatever above, right? And you're looking something like this. At this point, you're wondering to yourself, is that daily bottom wick enough, right? I don't know, right? There's a high chance that price could still come back down, right? Imagine this is like your weekly or your daily. Come back down, break the lows, and then reflip bullish. And then at that point, cool, we'll look to take those buys up. But as it is now, our bottom wick is very small, right? As a like for a monthly candle, it's only like 80 pips, which is not that significant. So in the case that we do break the lows again and then start reflipping bullish, that would be slightly more of a confirmation we would be looking for. But overall, you're understanding that price is still within this range, and this is the first day of the month. There's a high chance that price could still flip bearish because your previous month closed bearish. So if this is just a top wick for price to rip down, where is the liquidity, right? If you're looking at liquidity, maybe you want the break of the monthly highs and then a flip to continue down. Then you have a pretty nice wick to fill, right? Below 2029 all the way down to 2002. So that's a pretty nice wick to fill. And overall, right, the steeper this top wick that currently is being made, the steeper it is, the better. Because once we get that really, really steep top wick and then it flips, it's just a better confirmation for us to rip price all the way back down. But any given point, price can just respect, right, and can flip bearish because we are in this range. We have not gotten a breakout above or below this range on the monthly. Cool. I'm going to go to the weekly. Weekly is looking very interesting. It is a Thursday, right? You have to remember it is a Thursday. So there's only one day left for this candle before it closes. Any given point, this candle can still flip bearish, right? With the amount of news that we have, right? We have 4 red folders tomorrow, right? And then some other, some other weird folders. But overall, we still have 4 folders. Like price can definitely still drive down and create that bottom wick for the weekly. Right? And if that happens, that'd be fine, right? Because what I'm expecting price to potentially close at is something that looks like pretty bullish, right? But maybe with a top wick and a bottom wick. And in that case, that would be great, right? Because if we come down, break the lows, then we continue to close bullish, means that there's a high chance for price next week, we're going to fill the next weekly range, which is between, wherever 2040, and then you have some range towards 2075. So these are some pretty nice ranges we can play. I wouldn't be able to take the weekly flip just as it is now because it's a Thursday. Any given point, this candle driving down and flipping the weekly could just not drive it, right? And could just close exactly how we had this candle previously, right? And if this happens and you're in a sell, you don't even know how far it's going to drive. Like obviously this is the weekly chart, so this is like a lot of pips, right? But your weekly range fill is about 90 pips. Maybe you can take something, but at the same time, you're looking at this level, right? If I just move this line slightly, you have an exact closure respecting 2017. So in that case, it becomes a lot more difficult for us to take anything in terms of the sells to come down, because you're understanding that price, as you've closed respecting, high chance it's just going to reject, right? Make a decision or reject and then fill the range because you're just in this range. Price hasn't really done anything in terms of the weekly time frame, right? But in terms of what's remaining for this week, I would say we have potentially a chance for some sells and buys because you're understanding that on Friday, right, you're going to get a weekly close. So this candle needs to have a top wick. But before it can have a top wick, you also have to understand where the daily closed. And if the daily closed in a specific way, you may be able to get some buys to get the daily wick fill. You may be able to get sells after it breaks the highs and then starts flipping bearish, right? So both of these things can happen. And if we do get some retracement for the weekly candle and if price leaves a top wick for us, that'd be fantastic for next week to trade, right? But overall, if we're thinking about the weekly, right, if price does close bullish with no bottom wick like this right now, what I would probably need is price to come down, at least tap into 2017 again, which is the bottom of the range, and then reflip bullish, and then we can probably look to take these positions to continue up. Right? We always say this. We always say we need to break the lows before we have enough momentum to drive up, right? Currently, you have a lot of news events which are pushing price up. But if you get a break of some of these lows down here and then reflip bullish, you have a very good chance of filling the range, number one, which is up to 2074. And then after that, potentially even getting a breakout. Okay? So that's what I'm looking for on the weekly and what potentially may happen for the rest of this week and going into next week. So let's look at the daily. The daily is very interesting. I mean, your lines are pretty clear. Like, I'd say you have this initially, but now you've broken out of that. So you have a bullish candle respecting, right? So if we just look at our previous weekly closure, right, we have a bearish closure before and then a bullish candle now that's just being printed for this week, but it's respecting. So at any given point, what price could do is just reject to come down, right? So you have to keep that in mind, right? We've closed respecting this support here at 2055, just on the daily, right? Any given point, because you've now respected and you have a very steep top wick, this could be liquidity for us to drive down, right? If you wanted to continue pushing, you would have probably seen a breakout above. But because that didn't happen, a little bit more difficult for us to get into the buys and we'll need some more confirmations. Likely what that'll look like is probably a bottom wick, right? If price does something like this, comes down all the way to these areas, maybe around these areas, and then starts reflipping bullish, cool, we can look to take these positions potentially to continue up. But you also have news, right? So if you have news, you probably need to, because they're pretty close together as well, right? There's like 1:30 and 3, so 1.5 hours in between, but they can be in completely different directions. You can have what is it, unemployment rate and non-farm employment change, average hourly earnings, that all could push price in one direction, and then suddenly for consumer sentiment push in a completely different direction, right? So say you push up first, right? That could be a liquidity grab for you to come down because your Friday, your weekly wick, your weekly candle wants to close with a top wick, right? So if that's the case, then cool. Like we can maybe take the sells to come down after the top wick. But if the sells happen first, if the first bit of news pushes price down, and then you start getting a re-break of the highs, yeah, that would be quite nice as well for us to take that potentially up to the next kind of smaller ranges. But you're understanding that there's a high chance that price would reject at these areas because number one, you've filled the range. Number two, you've closed respecting. Any given point, price could do this for the next daily candle, right? Something that looks like even like this. Price can definitely do that, right? Break the highs and then start flipping bearish, and that would be a nice start to the next week, right? Because we're understanding we want to break some of these lows here for liquidity, right? The weekly has no bottom wick starting here. So if we can start doing that, coming down, right? And then potentially as we're breaking below here, maybe we're getting a fake out, but what that looks like is actually this with a massive bottom wick tapping into these areas, because that would be your liquidity to continue up, right? And then as that's happening, you get a monthly reflip and then potentially retesting some of these highs, right? So that could happen as well. And if price does something like that, right, cool, we'll have some pretty nice positions, right? Once you get this fake out number one, right, you can potentially take that here. As you're coming above and breaking the previous daily after this massive top wick, you can look for this range fill to continue. And then once you get that breakout with a bottom wick, you can also take this to fill the next range. So there's a lot of positions, and I wouldn't be, stressed if you're thinking about, oh yeah, I didn't catch anything today, or we might not catch anything for next week, depending on how this weekly closes without no bottom wick. There's a lot of ways we can get into the markets. But those are just a couple examples, right? And how price wants to actually close is completely up to price. Like, I have no control, right? Even though Jerome is, one of our best friends at DVS, and he sponsors us a little bit. It's not like we talk to him every single day, right? So the news events, he doesn't really give us all the updates when we want him to give us those updates. But we can try our best. Unfortunately, we're not as tight with him anymore. We used to be best buds, but it's all right. Cool. Daily. Yes, one thing I wanted to say about the daily. Daily, if you look very carefully, it actually broke the previous daily low. And as it did that, and then reflipped bullish, and then rebroke this high, there was only really one direction that price could, really push, right? Sure, you have news, right, and whatever, so it was difficult to get into those kind of trades during news, but look at this, right? You started off Wednesday, and then you had this low, came down, broke the daily lows, then flipped, right? Not flipped, but like you closed respecting this overall area on the 4, and then after that, you started pushing. So similar to how the weekly candle was, this started pushing up, right? So the same thing can happen on the sells as well. So I'm saying that if this happens, if the same pattern here on the weekly and the daily happens on the 4 hour, like this, it can also happen, in terms of like a bearish rejection, right? But yes, let us analyze the 4 hour and see where we are at. I'm going to move this just up a little bit. Do we have any other data? We're starting to reapproach those kind of all-time high areas. which is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with all-time highs. We can definitely trade that still, but it just, we want to get a little more data to understand exactly what price did in the future. Sorry, in the past, so we can predict the future, right? Not like fully predict, but have a better estimate of what might happen. So at my level for the 4 hour and the 1 hour is kind of 2057, right? So you've broke above and you filled the next range up, which I'm gonna just mark up really quickly at 2065. 2065 looks to be an interesting level. Let's see where it is actually based. 2065. Okay, I mean, it's looking like around 2064. That's fine, right? So cool. I would say your 4 hour has been respecting this area, right? But you're in this range, right? And you're understanding that actually the bottom of your range could be somewhere around here, right? So this candle respected, came back down, grabbed the liquidity, rebroke the daily lows, and then you can start re-pushing up, right? And then you had this breakout above, you start filling all the way up to here, and now you're rejecting a little bit. So what are you expecting, right? Price at the moment, if we look at the kind of smaller time frames, which 4 hour all the way down to kind of like the 1530, it's looking like it pushed up and then started rejecting to come down, right? So if price wants to re-break the highs, right, what I'll probably need is a breakout above 2057, like this level here, right? Because the last time you got a breakout above, cool, look, you filled up to this range, which is our wick fill, you re-broke that wick, and the break of that wick also gave you 45 pips of range. Here you just kind of ripped up, obviously, right? But here you also you kind of all of these are respecting. So I guess the two times where you did break above 2057, you had some clean pushes towards 2064, and potentially even towards like 2069 for runners, right? Because that's an extra 50 pips. Overall, that's what I'm going to need to see. But with how the 4 hour is closed, still bullish but respecting, I'm going to need a little bit more confirmations in terms of bottom wick. So if price can come down, break some of these lows, right, that'd be great. But I'd still want it to hold potentially some of these levels here, right? And if it holds there, and then you get like a bullish closure with like a very steep bottom wick, something like this, then if you do get it, redraw this candle really quickly. So get a bullish closure above the range that looks like this, with like a steep candle potentially to make this bottom wick for this previous 4, I'll probably look to take this up, right? Then at this point, less of a bottom wick I'll need, something that just resembles probably something around 2054 where we're at right now, and then I'll look for this push up. Something that looks like this. Why 2054? Because I'm looking at this, right? You pushed here, and then you were able to fill up to these areas. So the chance of you getting runners after tapping into 2054 is a lot higher, right? So that's just my overall thought process at the moment. Obviously, I am bullish for tomorrow, but I'm understanding that if you just go back to the daily, you're bullish, but you're respecting, right? Any given point, you can have a bearish day. But yeah. So yeah, overall, I'm not looking for sells really. The sells can happen. I will probably need price to tap into these areas first if we want sells. But it's going to be a little bit difficult because of what potentially might happen tomorrow is you could get a pretty aggro day, right? If price starts re-breaking some of these highs, you could just start retesting all of this. So I'm not going to take a wick entry sell here, but if price taps into these areas, then starts closing below potentially like, 2051 to come down, or maybe starts, rejecting from here, we see some structure around these areas, then cool. We can potentially look to take those fake out sells to come down, right? But the issue is, at any given point at this level at 2069, you can just push all the way up and there's nothing stopping price, right? For buys, obviously, I'm more bullish than bearish. I would like to see a bit of a bottom wick for the daily. I'm not expecting, price to give us too much of a bottom wick if it wants to push aggressively up. But at least I would say, breaking this previous 4 hour low, potentially down to like around these sorts of areas, and then if you can reflip, that would be nice. Somewhere around these areas. Ideally, it comes all the way down to here, but with how price is closing, it could be, we may see the push up first before coming down. So if that happens, nothing we can do, right? If price does something like this and then starts respecting, right? Next candle comes up, breaks the highs, but flips bearish to come down, then cool. We can probably look to take the sells after it re-breaks, like an hourly low or like the daily low, and then we can, daily low is slightly more difficult. right? I would say you probably can, but I would still wait for like a top wick and then that flip, and then I may look for the re-break of this low afterwards, because at any given point, with price being relatively more bullish now, and you broke the previous daily lows, you could just continue to push up. So yeah, it's all about different confirmations that I'm looking for, but yeah, that's essentially my view, I guess. What's my view on monthly? I mean, I'm obviously, you know, I think when we broke down the monthly, like I'm obviously still in the range. And if I'm in the range, yeah, cool, we can go anywhere. We can tap into 1990, we can tap into 2073. Both things can and probably will happen, right? But it's just which one will happen first. If 2073 happens first, which is looking like it's likely, then cool. Maybe that's liquidity for us to drive down, because we need liquidity for price on the monthly time frame and in general for price to drive up and break above 2073. So even if you get a monthly closure above at the moment, I'll probably still need a steep bottom wick to break wherever this low is, like unless the low already breaks this previous monthly low as well. But yeah, that's my overall view. Some liquidity, that's because your weekly also will have no bottom wick, probably needs to come down to grab liquidity. So for those couple of days, potentially for that week, couple weeks maybe, you'll be somewhat bearish. So yeah, just wait for that to happen though, right? There's no need for us to guess what price is going to do. We're not fortune tellers. We just react on price. My view on GJ, yeah, I mean, what did GJ do? GJ, we mentioned that it was going to consolidate, right? And then break the lows to come up. So cool. Consolidate, break the lows, cool. Now if you get like a re-break of some of these highs, you can probably look to take price all the way back up, right? You're at 186 at the moment, which is, yeah, you had a pretty nice, I would say kind of a fake out, because your overall structure is still bullish, right? Your daily did close bearish though. We mentioned this, right? I think we mentioned this like 2 days ago or 3 days ago. This high chance is price rejecting, right? So if you can take a sell below here, there's also a chance price will just drive down towards next support, which is looking like around that 185 areas, which is that 19 pips, or I don't know. I don't know what GJ is in terms of like the pips. But yeah, this weekly is about to close. It's going to close bearish, right? You're understanding that your next bottom of the range for your bearishness is probably up to about 185, right? So you have your top of the range here. You have your bottom of the range approximately there. You've already tapped into the bottom of the range. Yeah, it's not bad here, right? So at any given point, price can just continue to go back up, but your monthly's also opened. You have that bottom wick, and you're going to start flipping, right? You're flipping to come up. If you do get a breakout above, I would need probably like a weekly to close above, because at any given point, this structure shows me that there's a high chance price will need to come down to grab bottom wicks for these candles, and then we're able to redrive up. But yeah, the analysis we did previously on GD was good, right? We mentioned that here there's a high chance price will reject. Yeah, cheers, Jack, for coming up. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Yeah, like so if this happens, right, high chance not enough liquidity, and then come down. Yeah. See you, Toko. Cheers for coming. Cheers for joining. But yeah, I would say like in terms of the smaller time frames, if you get like all of this is really messy at the moment for me. Right, like on the 4 hour, maybe it's a little bit cleaner, but it doesn't really show me any clear signs of like, oh, once we get like the only area you may be able to take is maybe like above like here, right? Maybe, but again, if that does happen, I'm gonna need a bottom wick. So price, if you close bullish above, right, I'm gonna need a pretty steep bottom wick before we're retesting those highs, right? And then as that happens, once you get a breakout above here, right, cool, I'll look for again some bottom wicks to retest, right? I'm also likely gonna need, if I was to trade GJ, probably gonna need a re-break of the monthly lows. There's a high chance that price closed bullish but respecting this overall range. High chance, right? There's an issue there. Sell from 186. I think we mentioned to sell at like around these areas, 188 or whatever previously, just based off the daily, right? No, sorry, the weekly, right here. So around these areas, if you had that top wick and then flip, yeah, I would say around like 188 was a nice area to sell, or like below here at 187. Now it's too late. you don't want to sell now because you've already filled the range. At any given point, price can still come up, right? Your monthly is now bottom wick reflipping bullish. Your daily is now, closing after, like still respecting this overall range here, right? But bullish as well with a bottom wick, steep bottom wick. At any given point, you're going to fill this up, right? Fill all the way up to this top of the range because this is the range you're in. So slightly more difficult, I would say, to get the sells now. But just wait for your next setup. But enough about GJ. Let's go back to gold. Yes, that is essentially it. Let's see what the Zoom boys have to say. Reese is here and Jacob's here. You guys can unmute, by the way. I think Reese probably doesn't know.
Yes, fella.
How you doing? How you doing?
Oh,
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Any questions? You haven't been here for a while.
I know. I've been in the shadows. Don't worry, man.
Yeah, no worries.
No, I'm not really got no questions, because I'm kind of getting it. You know what I mean? So for me now, it's just continue doing what I'm doing.
Yeah,
keep learning the strategy and using it in my way and stuff, and
yeah,
just be more disciplined in terms of risk management and journaling. I need to start getting myself familiar with the buff journal as well. So
yeah. I mean,
that's
like,
all it is for me now. I feel like because I've been getting good consistency with my results and stuff. So
nice.
It's just terms of like, it's just the lack of discipline sometimes and shit. That's all it is for me now. I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's easy to relapse, but once you are on the right path and you know exactly what you need to do, those things are just like small bumps on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my understanding for range and
yeah,
price action and then the forming of bottom wicks and top wicks in different scenarios and stuff. It's just, it's starting to click.
Yeah, that's good. That's what you want. But yeah, like I think in the members as well, like we're gonna start doing this sort of like positive and negative show and tell, I would say, like where you bring like one setup or one entry. I think this Jacob actually suggested this to bring one negative and one positive thing to the members only session on Monday, and then we just review it. Like for example, on this Monday, I mentioned I took a pretty bad buy at some area, right? And it went against some of my rules, and I like explained it, like why did I actually do that, how did I feel, and like all of those things as well. Like they're just bumps. Like as long as you can identify them, and then at the end just realize, okay, this is not my plan. I'm not going to do it next time, and then actually not repeat it. Right. The key thing is like, don't keep making the same mistakes. You have to learn. You have to push yourself to learn, and that's getting rid of that FOMO and all of that. But it takes time. So like again, like for a lot of people who ask me like, oh yeah, like if I join your membership, like I'm gonna be profitable in a couple of months, like no, right? Like it's gonna take time. It's not even about any of the learning. I would think like all the educational side of things, like how to reprice, is not like really that hard. It's not, right? The difficult part is risk management and like FOMO and psychology. I would say that's like 70%, 80%.
I feel like today was one of my today was the biggest turning point in terms of where I'd seen the growth in my own trading journey. You know what I mean? Because of how price action printed.
Yeah.
It from because I actually got two entries today. I got one at the bottom of the range just before the drive up.
Yeah.
And I stopped out at break even. And like the old me would have gone straight back in thinking, yeah, I need to catch this before it goes back up.
Yeah, I think you sent that to me.
Yeah, I sent it to you, I think.
Yeah.
And then I think by the time we got to the top of the range, I realised obviously we'd hit some resistance.
Yeah.
And obviously certain candles started to form in the way that I wanted to see it for me to take a sell, and I managed to get an entry at the top of the range.
Yeah.
And then top of the internal range as well. So I had a top big entry, so I'm still in it now. But I've already took profits and stuff, and I'm break even. So I'm just
that's good.
Now, to be honest.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think like once you have those good days and it clicks, right? Remember the feeling, right? Because that's when it's like, okay, I like you can see a future in trading and all of that. Like when you have those bad days, and like all of us will, right? Just remember the same feeling that you had when you had a good day, and that's what you're working for, and that's like the goal for the future, to have those good days every day, right?
Yeah, because for me personally, I've had like good weeks and good months, and then after that, it's like you'll hit that thing where you've like literally dropped all your discipline, and then like you'll over leverage or over risk, or you'll take positions that are out of your trading plan, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
obviously you lose either a large portion of your portfolio or you'll blow the whole account. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel
yeah,
like I'm coming back from them, even though them days probably still will come. I feel like the detriment of them days will be less in the future. If you
yeah.
know what I mean?
I think also over time, like I think Jacob was also struggling with this as well. Like over time, like you'll just understand that's like not a situation you want to be in, right? And then you'll feel less and less urge as you continue to do those things like over leverage or over risk. So
100%.
yeah, but yeah,
Because
it
for me,
sounds
it's
like
been
you're on a
tough.
good path.
My journey's been tough, man. Because I've actually been trading for like 4 years, innit?
Mm-hmm.
Brother, so I start. Say
Just
again.
talk to Jacob.
I feel you. I was gonna say I feel you because like, yeah, like, there's no time limit. I feel like when you
Jacob, you're cutting in and out, brother.
Yeah.
been taking a while. Hello.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think you're okay now.
No, let Bryce continue. I'll let him finish. I was gonna say something else.
Reese.
Reese, sorry.
Nah, but I was saying, yeah, I started trading like 4 years ago, and it was during all the like IML and IM Academy and stuff,
Mm.
and like so I've been trading since then, but like I'd never really applied myself in terms of like education. I was always just on the charts every day and just trying to learn off, like teach myself in a sense by just getting chart experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
obviously there's just loads of inconsistencies, throwing money in here and there, losing it all, go on a good run for a little while and then I'd lose it and whatnot. But then I kind of packed it in for a little bit, but I still had the urge to jump on the charts, even though I was like, I always knew that I wanted to do trading, but obviously it got to a point where I was like, you know what I mean? I've been beat up, and I thought, like, I need to take a step back.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
took a step back, and then I fell into one of DonVo's streams. I don't know how, but obviously I fell into stream, and
Our
then
savior.
yeah, it's like it's weird because people used to say to me all the time, like, "Oh, why have you got so many lines on your charts and stuff like this, that?" And it's just like how I reprice. It's like, oh, and then once I dropped into DonVo streams and seen that the reason why for all his lines that he uses is because obviously range levels and
Yeah,
stuff like that. It just like his trading strategy kind of resonated with me from how I was learning, how I was adapting to trade. You
yeah.
get me?
That makes sense. That makes
Then
sense.
yes, and I've just been. I think I've been watching him for like 9 months now, and then so yeah, it's been. I think when did I start? I think it was like. I think it might have been like maybe like it was just before the Miami meet. Do you know when you did the
Oh
Miami
yeah,
meetup?
that was around like
It was
July-ish.
yeah.
So around
I
I guess
started watching
June
him
then.
just before them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm
Yeah.
just waiting for the London meetup, man.
Honestly, sometimes I feel like DonVo is kind of like Jesus, and we're just like the Mormons going around, like preaching and like saying, yeah, like you gotta follow the word of God, and like,
Yeah.
and yeah, I feel like an
But
ambassador.
yeah, ever since I started watching DonVo and watching you, Elvis, Wicks, Janez, and I've been watching Huss as well.
Yeah,
By being having the opportunity to be able to watch you all in different sessions and seeing how different sessions work and then how you guys all adapt to the different sessions it just helped elevate my trading.
for sure, for sure. I was actually thinking about this. Like, I actually think my first streams, or like the first like month of streams, probably are the most descriptive streams I will ever do, because I've been like at the very beginning, right? I tried to explain price exactly how it looks for me, and like my entire thought processes, right? And all of that for a beginner, right? Because I didn't know who was going to join, right? It could be a complete beginner, it could be like whatever. But like nowadays, it's like I know, the bunch of people who are potentially coming, they have some level of knowledge as well. So I feel like I sometimes skip a couple concepts,
Yeah.
but like I don't like. I think the same thing for Don, right? Like probably very early on, he did really descriptive, really in-depth analysis, which took like ages. I think my initial analysis, it took like 40, 45 minutes sometimes. But now you can do it in 15. You can do it in like 20, right? Depending on what price is showing you. But at the same time, our kind of strategy is also evolving. What we're seeing on the markets is also evolving. So, we'll just add more like newer things. But I feel like it does get a little bit difficult for people who are just new joiners, but they kind of have to catch up from like 2-3 years worth of knowledge. And if you aren't able to do that, you kind of do get a little bit left behind, and you just have a feeling that you're just chasing something which is constantly growing. And it obviously, it's not the best feeling to have, but it also does give you a goal, right? You want to learn the whole strategy. So, if you're motivated enough, it's definitely doable. And I feel like those are the people who, like, I feel like there's a lot of people who would say the trading industry is like maybe what, like 2% of traders, 5% of traders make it. I think DVS is cultivating something which potentially like 10%, 15% of people will make it. And it's just because of, we found a way to really easily explain how to exploit the markets in a way that DonVo sees it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's right. It makes once you start to once you start to understand the charts, then once you start to understand Don's like concepts, like when it starts to click, it's like, oh my god, it makes so much sense.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's like it's mad.
Thing is, it makes so much sense, and then it's like you can start thinking like, oh, like can I be like him and start like finding my own like setups and entries as well.
Yeah.
And then I had a period where I was looking for my own stuff. Like, I had a period where I was on like the 1 minute chart on the stream as well. I was like, yeah, like I'm on the 1 minute chart. I'm like looking for this X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But it's like, I need the basic experience first, which is like at that point I was still looking to rush things.
Yeah.
And like after a while I just realized like rushing it just means I won't get that much out of it, right? It's actually just detrimental to me instead of like there's just no benefit.
So. Yeah, cause sometimes like literally even when it just comes to coming to take a position, like there's no rush to take a position. Like the more time you spend on your position, the better decisions you can make going into it and coming out of it.
Exactly. Like I feel like for some of the trades I had this month, like January/February, like for like I wouldn't say it's the first time I felt this way, but it's like something that's recurring a little bit more. It's not even like I look at the money, right? But I look at the money in a kind of lens where it's just telling me how many pips it is. Like I'm just looking at the charts to see like, okay, like it's probably going to fill this range. Once it fills it, cool, like I'll go break even or whatever. But then I can just look at the money value because I know my lot size is consistent. I'll just be like, okay, once it reaches like, X amount of dollars, that's about 10 pips. Okay, cool. Yeah. And it's like I have no attachment to that, right? Whether that's 0.01 lot or like a 1 lot or whatever. It's the same as long as I know what that value is. Previously I was, like we all had our phases where we look at the money and be like, oh wow, that's like $500, like let me get out, right? But now it's like, oh, I see $500, okay, that's X amount of pips, cool.
Yeah, so cause that's the only thing that remains constant. Because the only thing that remains constant is the amount of pips or points that you catch.
Exactly.
The only thing that really changes is the only changing factor in trading is your lot size.
Yeah.
And obviously the money. But once you've got the pips count on lock, then the money isn't really a factor. It's just the amount of being consistent in the amount of pips that you catch.
Yeah, I feel like once we eventually develop like a DVS academy or like kind of a school, which is our overall goal, we're gonna have like people potentially take like a 3-year course or whatever, which is like very slow paced. And then after that, right, it's just, okay, cool. Like you've done your 3 years here. We're gonna let you, like have a bit of fun yourself and try to find your own profitability. But it's the key thing is like it has to be a certain duration. It can't be too short, because if it's too short, then it's like people are gonna feel like, oh yeah, I can just cram all of this knowledge in and I'll be fine. That's why it has to be slow paced. You might not learn anything some days, right? But it's like that's the point, right? Just you have to feel everything once, feel what it's like to lose a lot of money and all of those feelings, and then at that point it's like, okay, I don't want to feel that anymore, so I need to do some some massive change in my life or whatever.
Yeah, that's why it's tough when people ask you to like teach them how to trade. It's like you can only teach like the basics. Like you can only teach like the foundation of trading, because you can't really teach anyone to trade. You can only teach people the foundations of it, because the rest of the lessons from trading come from self development. I mean, self improvement, self awareness and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's one of them. Like when you 3 years is a good time, because like it's been 4 years for me, and people are still asking me, oh, you're making money from trading and this, that, the other. And I'm like, well, no, but the results are I'm getting the results now. You know what I mean? So it's only a matter of time before I have something to show for it. But it's the long term commitment that's going to make it all worth it.
Yeah, I had a couple mates who were asking me like, yeah, so like, you know, you do realize there's a percentage chance that this is not going to be profitable, right? And I was like, no, there isn't. There is zero probability that trading will be, you know, a continuously unprofitable thing for me, because I'm not going to let it be that 100%. Way, right? I'm going to continue working until I'm profitable, whether that's 10 years, whether that's like 50. I don't really care, right? Like, as long as I can look at some candles, right? As long as I can look at some candles and be like, oh, cool, that's fucking nice. I've been looking at that for ages. 6 hours.
You know,
that's fun, man.
Honestly, yeah, I had this thought the other day. I was like, because it's nothing to do with like an old person, but I was just passing by like an old person, right? And I was like, I wonder when I'm that old, like, will I be like up, like still like 6 a.m. on the phone?
Yeah, I don't know. You'll probably move and like not live somewhere where you have to wake up at 6 in the morning. But the thing is, if you're old, you naturally kind of wake up early anyways. So maybe that's a advantage.
But just thinking though, like how else would I want to spend my old years other than like trading? Like, unless I get so bored of it now that I'm so young, that's like what I think about. Like, what if I get bored of it now that I'm young? That when I'm old, it's like fuck. Like,
I don't think.
Like, how else? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
I feel like when you get old, there's only like a few certain things you can do that like still entertain you. And I feel like trading could be one of those things still. But I just feel like at a point, once you've actually obtained the skill of trading, you would have, by the time you get to that age, you would have already used trading to the point where you're using it in other areas. You know what I mean? Like trading is just a vehicle to get to where I want to do the things I actually want to do in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I probably will because to be honest, I want trading to come to a point where it's got me the things that I want in life. It's got me what I need. Yeah, that's the right way to think about it. And then more time, I'll look at it more as a hobby, if anything, at a certain point.
Yeah, for sure. I think also like kind of where you want, when we all get to where Don is, right? You kind of like Jacob's point on like when you're old and if you're continuing to trade. I feel like at that point, community really matters, right? You've been coming out with all of these different traders. You've grown with them. You've seen all of them progress. Like some people may have taken longer, like whatever, but you're at the same place, all of you. And it's like, you know, you're all profitable in some way, shape, or form. And it's like, man, like we struggled, but we made it.
Yeah, fuck.
Right. And like it's also like it's really weird. Like it's a completely different group of friends.
It's more just not think about like also too like I shouldn't be thinking about when I'm that old, because it's like I should enjoy just like the time that I have and the experience that I feel like I have with
of course as well
trading right now. And I think that's just more even thinking that's just like I don't even think that thought comes from trading, because there's no reason for me to be thinking and worrying about like what. Obviously, yes, like to think about that every now and then, but in terms of like actually thinking, like, you know what I mean, like it's irrelevant.
Yeah, for sure.
Natural thoughts in it for you, because you're only young in it. You know what I mean? I'm quarter life mid crisis me, so you know what I mean.
Nah, mate, quarter life. Soon. I'm getting there as well.
Wait, how old are you, Reese?
26 now.
Okay.
So I started trading when I was 22. And I'd say I started trading when I was 22, and then I only really started trading when I was 25.
Dang. And you see how
I'm still not even really trading yet. You know what I mean? So
how you talk, I feel like I hear myself like in you, but like I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like I was probably. I feel like I hear myself.
Yeah, no, I definitely, because I feel like Jacob, you've you've gone through the most elaborative, like the path you've gone through is a combination of a lot of different people's path as well, I feel. So you've experienced just more than a lot of people have, I think.
So what you mean is Jacob's done everyone's fuck ups, not just like one person's.
Yeah, I feel like Jacob has
It's like 10 people's worth.
Jacob has fucked up a lot in the past, and like I think he would admit that itself. Like, but the where he,
I don't know. Go ahead.
but like where you are now, after all of those experiences and those those like all the knowledge that has been gained, you're probably more ahead of other people because of those things that you've done. In terms of like a psychology, right? Because those you don't get phased really easily. Like for example, like say you lose an account, or like I don't think you'll really even lose an account anymore. Like I think you'll struggle to lose an account now, Jacob.
Yeah. Honestly, bro, like I think I say more like he was saying that I don't know why, but like this month has been like really good for like my psychology. I feel what. Maybe that's just like all of us, right? But like I don't know. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean like just the way you've been like talking about trading and like coming to these sessions and also like on Don's stream, everything is showing that like you've grown out of that phase that you were previously in with a lot of knowledge and like a lot of experiences, and it's just yeah, like I don't see another like you've kind of had your drawdown state, and then now
I think we all like appreciate Don the way we do, because I think I say this a lot because before I found Don, there was no one in the industry that was like, okay, this is how I trade, and this is like, okay, of course his spreadsheet wasn't as advanced as it is now, but it was like there was nobody who was doing that. And then for me, like being just like a regular dude, it's like, okay, how do I take trading seriously and actually like do it for real without having to like go work at a hedge fund or like figure out like to do that, you know? And I think that's why, and he kind of shows me a path for that, and then from there I can think about maybe like, a hedge fund or think something bigger like that.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Jacob is probably one of the most profitable ones out of all of us in the near future.
I appreciate you, bro.
No, legit.
I think shout out to Don too, like just like coming on stream and talking, and then obviously having DVS.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like, anybody hit you up, I think it just because we're just humans, right? So we know what we put our energy towards, right? And then when you put your energy towards trading, and then other people see that you're putting your energy towards it, and then they help you, it's like that makes you put your energy towards it even more. So it's like it's just like it's a good thing.
Yeah.
The advantage you've got as well, Jacob, you've got so much time on your hands, bro. You're like, what old? You're 19, 20?
Yeah, 20 right now.
Yeah, bro, what I would do in this life to get to your age and have the knowledge that you have, bro, you don't understand, bro, how much of a good position you're in, bro. If you stick to trading, lad, honestly, bro, like the world's your oyster, bro. You're only 20 years.
It's almost, I think bro. Don says it a lot. It's like an imposter syndrome too, Elvis. I feel like sometimes I feel like, should I be a trader? Like, is this really what I like should do? But then it's like I feel like I've been putting in the work for it, so it's like, and I'm seeing the results, so it's like I shouldn't just stop or like be like, okay, well, like almost get like too scared to want to continue, because it's like, brother, you didn't like make all those mistakes to just like stop, you know?
Yeah, I felt that way like a while ago as well, when I felt like I understood basically all of Don's strategy, including like wick entries and everything, and people were like asking me, oh, so what is this? And I was able to explain, but then at some point I was like, I've only been trading for like less than a year. Why am I able to tell people, like, who's to say that I'm right, and why should they listen to me, right? I had all of those thoughts, but it's like at the end of the day, my analysis continues to play out, right? Like all my setups and all my entries that I look at, say, whenever I do my analysis, I see them play out like, a high percentage of the time. And in that case, right, like as long as you have the results to kind of back it up, that's kind of it, right? And then the rest is just managing your own, your risk and all of that. But, the imposter syndrome kind of fades away over time when you build up that experience, I would say. And I feel like you're at that stage already. Like I feel like everybody that has joined EvolutionDVS has, progressed a lot since they first started.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that personally.
Yeah, I didn't think you were gonna be here, Johnny, today. I thought you weren't available.
I didn't think I was either.
You guys have.
I got back earlier than I expected.
I see. What was that, Jacob?
I was gonna say I started this month. Like I know we have the spreadsheet, like the journal. Wait, does it show? It shows the monthly profit, right?
Yeah.
It does, right?
Yeah, it does. On the
I've
analysis page.
ironically lost money this month. Or through
Because I wasn't
January.
even just like in terms of tracking like your P&L. Like I was just thinking of something else, but it shows that.
But I've been experimenting a lot, so
Yeah, I've been experimenting as well. I previously I was actually, oh yeah, I got a question about funded. Yeah, I am still funded, but I previously was using those accounts to be like, okay, I want to test how profitable I was, right? And then I'd end up taking, because I felt like it was just easier to not switch it between all the accounts, because for example, I'm on like my funded, I'm using a 1 lot or a 2 lot, and I suddenly switched to my 0.01 and I'm suddenly using a 2 lot on like $100 account, and it's like, what the fuck, like get me out immediately. So at that point I was like, okay, I'll probably just do some testing on the funded as well, because it's just simpler that way and I won't like accidentally put like a massive lot size on a really small account.
I'm surprised it let you open a 2 lot on that.
Or not exactly like a 2 lot, like it was, I opened like a 2 lot accidentally on like a 1k account, and it like I like, it's just scary at that point, because it's like it's a 1k account, 10 pips, suddenly it's like shit, that's 20%. But yeah, so what I've kind of just gone back to is continue to trade that $100 account with the kind of social trader tools linking up to everything, right? But that account also will now have all of my tests, and I'll have those tests also recorded in a journal as well, just as like extra data, right? But yeah, so then in that way I can separate exactly what is going to the funded, which is probably more like well thought out trades, plus like Don signals, or like, you know, trades that we take on stream or whatever. And then for the tests, I'll probably come back to really pushing for like, you know, my live or whatever in a couple months. We'll see. I want to prove to myself that it's like, okay, my $100 account is just all blue,
Yeah.
right?
My goal is to go get have my first funded account in like mid Feb, end of Feb, beginning of March.
Yeah.
That's when I'm gonna go for my first funded.
I would
heard,
say,
like, this,
what was that, Jacob?
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you're gonna say something about the goal, but I was just gonna say, like, I don't think having goals is a bad thing. I was just hearing this one guy like explaining. He's a trader too. He's explaining like for goals, just like he compares it to the gym. So say you're injured like at the gym, right? But you're trying to hit like a PR before the end of the month. Like it's the same thing for trading. Like say you're trying to take profit by the end of the month, but it's like if you were in the gym and you were trying to like hit that PR, if you keep on going to the gym while you're injured, you're just gonna hurt yourself before you hit your PR.
Yeah.
So there's no point in even trying to go work out.
Yeah, of course.
So it's the same thing for trading. If you're trying to hit a certain profit level or a certain amount, there's no point in enforcing that, because you're just gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm past that point now. I'm just at the point now where it's just one trade at a time.
Which is good, yeah. And it's like you know your goal, and you know you're not gonna do anything outside of the ordinary to get to that goal.
Oh, Eddie's passing funded with DVS strat. Nice. That's good risk management, number one, because we have some massive stop losses, but also that's a W. DVS passed another funded. That's huge. Congrats. But yeah, guys, I'm probably just gonna watch market open in like a couple minutes here, and then I'll probably be dropping off. Actually, I probably need to go relatively soon anyways.
Wait, so when are you going to?
So for the entire of next week, I'm in France, and I can't take my setup, essentially. So I can't stream Sunday to Thursday. So the next time I'm back is going to be the following Sunday.
So just 1 week.
Yeah, I'll be gone basically just a week. But you can still find me on like Discord or wherever. So I just can't stream. That's the main thing. I can even jump on like voice calls in the members, and just like discuss with you guys. We may do Mondays, yeah. What was that?
What are these orange dots that you've highlighted?
So I'm expecting potentially some liquidity around these areas, and liquidity here once we get a breakout, which looks like this, right? Because if we get a breakout, we fill this range, but we aren't breaking past. Previously, we grabbed liquidity here once, potentially a second time around these areas, this level. That'll be where I'll be looking for that bottom wick if we get that breakout. Yeah, so if that happens, right, if you get the breakout and you don't really have a bottom wick here and in like these areas, right, then it's slightly more difficult because at that point your daily has closed respecting, right? It could still flip bearish. But if you have a bottom wick,
that liquidity grab there that you've got there.
Yeah, so you need this first, right? And then afterwards, if you do get that breakout, I'm still not too sure, right? Any given point, price doing this could be a fake out to come back down, similar to all of this, right? Fake out here to come back down. Here you struggled a little bit, so I need that breakout, and then after the breakout, you tap into these areas, and then still after that, what I'll need is probably a re-break of the highs. Because here in these areas, right, you tapped into these areas, you didn't break the highs, so I can't take the wick entry to go up. But yeah, that's what I would say. Which is why I'm going to say tomorrow is going to be potentially slightly more difficult. But if both news pushes in one direction, then you'll probably have a pretty smooth day, I would say.
Yeah, it's NFP tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it could, given how volatile it's been, it could be like massive move.
What is it? Let's just have a. So this is less than. So that's bad for currency. So that's good for gold. This one is less than. Less than is bad for currency, good for gold. This one is more than. This is less. Okay, so this is also bad for currency and good for gold. So yeah, high chance we're just pushing straight up. This one's slightly higher. Greater is good for currency. This is bad for gold. So yeah, that's what I mean, right? You could have one direction here, which is pretty strong bullish. Any given point, you can still flip bearish with this. Right, and then that could be what you end up with, right? Is your daily potentially even looking like this. You have a bottom wick. Sorry, you have a maybe respecting. I would say I wouldn't really expect it to flip past this point, but like you still get this. Any given point, this could happen. All right, you fill the next range up, going up, right? And this, if you look at this, right, that's going to be a weekly leaving a top wick, and then you coming down. That will be leading to potentially the next week coming down to create that bottom wick right here. And as that happens, you can then reflip on the monthly, and then you can look to take those buys continuing up for February, re-breaking those highs, or a breakout later on potentially for the monthly. But yeah. Cool. Guys, I'm gonna drop. I do need to do a little bit of work before I head off to Paris. But it's been good. I feel like, yeah, thanks Reese for joining up. I feel like we haven't spoken in a while, so it's good to catch up. Next week, I'll probably be able to do more members only sessions because I'm away, right? But we'll have some more Discord calls if that's useful. And I think we're still going to run that Monday session with the kind of positive and negative bits.
So are we doing that?
Yeah.
Still next week while you're on away or no?
Yeah, I'll just join the Discord call. I just can't stream. That's the main thing.
Stream. Oh. Okay,
so I'll just download Zoom and I'll like just do it on my iPad or something.
Bet.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right.
Cheers, guys. I'll speak to you guys in a while. See you guys.
All right.
Cheers.
Have a good weekend. Yeah. So YouTube, thanks for joining up. It's been a good week, I'd say. Pretty good analysis today. There's some key concepts that we've been taking out from DonVo Strategy, and we're applying it to the charts today, for the entire week and for the whole of January as well, I would say. It's been a good start to the month as well in terms of price action. We're getting some pretty big pushes. If you are down for I think the year currently, or if you are down for like January or whatever, it's fine, right? I know a lot of us took that DonVo loss, but again, it shouldn't have been your entire account, right? If you applied the correct risk management, the correct risk lot size and all of that, you should be fine, right? We will eventually make it back, right? And your goal shouldn't even be to just make it back, right? Because your long-term goal is you want to be profitable. So if you're profitable, you will take losses, right? You will take wins, you will take break even. So it's just another day in the markets, right? So don't chase those wins to try to make it back, But just understand that if you are profitable, if you have a good enough strategy, you will make it back eventually. So no rush, right? But cool. Yeah, thanks for joining up this week, guys. Unfortunately, yes, I am in away for next week, but I'll probably talk to the members a little bit more next week. And then the following Sunday, I'll be back. So hope everybody has a good weekend. And yeah, peace. See you guys soon.